Hello, hello, hello. Today is Fun Day Monday. We're a little late because it was a sunshiny day, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's it's Monday. Let me get ready." So, not that I forgot about y'all. I'm just saying. It is June 26, 2023, Monday Fun Day. Hope you had a good weekend. Okay, so I'm gonna give people time to get in because I'm late and I needed time to get in. So here we go. Um, yeah, today's topic is going to be um, building from the last topic of why we should keep the internet as liberal as it is, different reasons. So, we're going to talk more about the World Wide Web development and how we became so reliant upon the internet. It's like, wow, in the last 10, 15, no, I'm going to say 15, 20 years, we've really become far more reliant on the internet than we have ever um, in the masses considered, that we would. However, when it was first developed, a lot of people were saying, no, this is going to be big. This is going to be huge. This is going to be so big. Everybody's going to be in it. Just like they're trying to now get people into the metaverse and get people on board with the idea of the metaverse because um, the internet is expanding so much that it's like, man, it's a whole universe. Like, what? What? A whole universe? Hey, thank you for coming. I appreciate the love. That's not what it's called. Appreciate it. And make sure you watch the recording because this is going to be good. This is going to be good. You're going to want to even talk about this on your show. That's Jesse Jones and Philanda Jones. Love them. You got to watch their show. Okay, so Um, one of the thing we'll do, just give more people more time to come in. Yeah, and definitely. Okay, but I appreciate the love. Stay tuned and make sure you ask some questions. This is a live interactive show. I like to answer questions and talk about real topics and give guided perspective, not just my opinion, but guided perspective, meaning reputable sources have backed these comments and remarks. So here we go. Before we get really going in here, I want to do a little icebreaker while more people come on, like Jesse and Flonda. And I wanted to say, I saw the nightly news. It was like it was reported that there was a big drop in student scores. The FTC sues Amazon for tricking customers to renew contracts and making it difficult to unsubscribe. Now, I want to talk first a little bit about the big drop in students' grades or scores. When kids take those academic scores, they're like, oh, well, their kids and their scores are dropping. Come on, the scores have been dropping for a while now, and it's not to say that it was pandemic caused. It was more of the epidemic of the safety issues that we as Americans are struggling with in brick and mortar schools, which are causing brick and mortar school scores to drop. So, with that being said, um, some guided perspective on that, we have to always remember that some of the times we need to look at history to show accurate reports on different things. So we look at social media, and social media is giving us a little bit of a different perspective on these different things that they talk about on things like the nightly news, which we really were conditioned to be more reliant upon to give us accurate information. Hey, Sean Anthony, thank you for coming. Stay tuned, stay tuned. And when the news media, such as TV, NBC, ABC, Fox, all these different news channels, CNN, when they became unreliable, it pushed people to be more relied on the sources that came from the internet, which is really more liberal than what a lot of the news networks could be. So that's one of the reasons why we've become much more reliant upon social media giving us the accurate news, and we get to tell our own story. We get to tell it like it really is, as opposed to somebody taking our words and twisting it. And if their boss didn't like the twist, they twist it again. When see sued Amazon, a lot of people were already aware that Amazon was going through some difficulties because, you know, a lot of people in social media are already saying, "Hey, look, I'm on social media here griping about how I ordered something on Amazon. It took forever. I ordered something on Amazon, and it was the same broken thing that somebody else in the comments and the reviews said they received and sent back." So, you know, it's been easier to live through the changes and see the changes that we want to see, because now social media hasn't put the sanctions or have not set on those sanctions that stifle people's voices to say things like, "Oh, you know, the internet, you know, is too free. It's too free. We got to put sanctions on it. We got to put a time limit on it. Kids aren't going to sleep. We got to stop them." You cannot do that, because there's so many other reasons why you have to stop allowing the few to dictate the freedom or the liberties of the multitude. It's just not working. And, you know, we're seeing it a lot more nowadays. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there as an icebreaker. And this one last thing, let's say, hey, Jackie, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I see you. I see you. What you say, Jesse? The pandemic played a part, but the reality. Well, the what I want to say about the pandemic is it didn't it didn't necessarily cause these actions. These were things that were already happening. And once the pandemic occurred, it was more like, okay, it's undeniable. We can't deny it any longer. People are getting on social media and they're saying things and they're letting it be known. They're broadcasting information that's accurate, and more people are online now. And they're listening to those things. And the news broadcasters were like, well, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. So you couldn't keep it hush anymore. So while, yeah, the news did become more for entertainment purposes, and social media, which was really created for entertainment, became more of a informative platform than what, you know, people thought it would be. When punches now move off, get in. Yeah, and there were studies that were done about it. The Cambridge study that showed that the internet influenced people to make political decisions that impacted our U.S. liberties for 4 years. And then some people are like, well, you know, it was a joke for a long time, and the joke got out of hand, and nobody know how it happened or know how to prevent it from happening again. But it's something that they're looking at, and we need to understand that while it has a powerful impact on a lot of aspects of our life, we still need to have more guided perspective pushed out there than we do anything else, because yes, it's influential. Well, that's why social media needs to remain liberal, because you don't want the reputation that, oh, everybody's stupid, or, oh, I feel sorry for them because they can't do anything about it. They're doing something about it. They put laws in place, but there's no force to keep those laws in place. And a lot of times it was because, like in the last show I said, they're putting they're making it seem like the neighbors don't know what the other neighbor is doing. And yeah, we do know. I find more folks don't know difference between. Well, a lot of people don't, and that's why another reason why social media is something that people can use as a tool to help them to decipher what's what. Politician newscasters, well, some, because I ran into some, Jesse, that actually are phenomenal, and their heart is in it. And it's not just about collecting a check. It's not about keeping anybody underfoot. It's about their heart is in it, and they want to be more influential in a positive manner to people who may not have any other hope other than them and the school that they're in with them. What did you say, Eddie? If you don't teach a person to think, you're a teach a person to follow. Yeah, with followership is definitely one of the innate things in humans where even if they don't get the information directly, they're going to follow what they see, because if there's no voice, what you do is follow the actions. So I'm going to get into this one other icebreaker. It was something that was said many, many times before. It's like, is it the size of the ocean or the motion of the ocean? The fact is, it's neither. It's how you feel at the moment of contact when you contact in the ocean. So you can debate me on that one. You can debate me on that one, but I guarantee I'll win, because that is the fact. It's something about that connection, and it doesn't matter if it's for a long time or a short time. It's the connection, and that's why, like, some men, they'll say, "Well, I was only talking to her. I was only talking to her," but your mate may consider it cheating. It was about the connection. Okay, the connection that was felt. Let me see, what did you say, Eddie? If you uh, what you, we saw that one. Jesse was having followers people who aren't qualified to be leaders. And you know what? Because of the gatekeepers, because we have not stopped the gatekeepers, we have not retired the gatekeepers, then it's like we're allowing these problems to be perpetuated, because a lot of the gatekeepers are older and they're from an old school mentality that a lot of the more modern times is doesn't fit that. And we can see that in social media. And as social media continues to develop and reach more people that we have not been able to reach at all ever in any other capacity, the shut-ins, the people who their family members don't have time for them, so they give them a device to play on and play with. Those people are oftentimes a part of the vulnerable community, where at first they didn't have a voice. Now TikTok gave them a voice. A lot of times the vulnerable community, their family members are recording them instead of them having the ability to record themselves and dictate what they show. The vulnerable community, meaning elderly, children, people on the spectrum, people of high needs, we'll call it that. So yeah, it's vital that we continue to allow such liberties with social media as social media continues to develop. You guys have some great points, and y'all firing them off at me. Let's see. I also find too many folks don't listen to facts. You can't control what grown people are going to do, because a lot of times you could be overwhelming. You could give too many facts and it's like it's overwhelming. You got to slow it down and let people digest what it is. It's not to say that the facts aren't true. It's not to say that there's downfalls to not listening to the facts. It's just to say sometimes people can only take you in small portions, just like they can only take facts in small portions. And social media kind of gives us a way to, section that off and put it into little smaller portions, or to present it in different ways and on different platforms that is more easily digested. Like different shows like Jesse and Philanda's show, like Real Talk and the Man Up show and Tony Briscoe's show. It comes in different forms, and that makes it more palatable to people so that they can receive it more. Okay, what you say, Jesse? Depends on. Okay, well, like I said, some people try to understand why people cheat. And some people say, well, a woman, we'll give this example. A woman to say, well, I don't know why my husband cheat because I look way better than her. I don't know why my husband cheat because I heard she ain't even a true headhunter. I heard this and I heard that, but I do what I do and I know I'm doing. And it wasn't about that. And she doesn't realize that. all she realizes is that she was wrong and she doesn't understand why. And it's not about what was wrong, what was done wrong. It was the matter of the feelings in the contact of that moment. And it may never happen again, or it may happen again, or they may continue to try to rekindle something that was momentary and fleeting. But, that's just, from my observation over the years, too many have voices that should be mute. Some, but sometimes those voices that we feel, should be mute, in that moment, that voice that we would have muted sometimes has a way of speaking the truth. They're like, man, you know, I you've been annoying forever, and I've always wished that you would just shut up. But in this moment, I see the change in you. I see the development in you, and wow, you've really grown. And maybe you do have a testimony, and maybe those people that were following you um, can develop and grow the way you have. Everybody, got their different perspectives. And sometimes I've seen that. So I've been annoyed by some people that I was like, man, I wish you would shut up, take a breath. Okay. I just got a chat message from dude that follows answer. I got mindset. Let's clip. Okay. You can't get around it. Well, let's say it like this. If you subject yourself to a particular atmosphere, then you can't get around it. But if you move yourself to a better atmosphere, you can get around it. But that's just me. I'm just saying from my perspective, um, there's a way around a whole bunch of things. We just got to try to use it. Okay, let's try to get these comments. One used to have proven themselves to be allowed to have opinion. Okay, and that's why some people, like the TV media, they don't allow certain people who do have proper perspective. They don't let them say anything because they think they should shut up, and that's just their opinion. Whereas some people may think that okay, yeah, they should. Yeah, and different things do make people upset, but you got to understand, if one speaks for in business, one speaks for 10,000, then you have to imagine that there's at least 10,000 people that think that Charlemagne and whoever else like him has something to say. Yeah, sometimes people cheat for ego. If they speak truth, it shouldn't be mute. Well, the truth is based on perspective. A lot of times, even with reputable sources, there's a board of people who are getting together and saying, yes, this is something that's founded by these measures of research, and this is what we found to be true. But you're going to get a team together like that all the time. I'm just saying, truth is perspective based. Just see a lot of folks cheat because they were conditioned by cheaters. If your father, uncle, mother, auntie were cheaters, you were more likely to follow that mentality. The internet also supports and grows. Yeah, and we're like the last show. We saw that common sense isn't common. There was a lot of subliminal messages in the programmings that we patronize, such as radio shows, television shows. Going to school, TV commercials, and the PSAs, the public service announcements that told, well, it's 10 o'clock, you know where your children are? Like, yeah. And that's what I think was like the what set the precedent for the internet. Because if we look at the development of the radio and how the radio developed into a picture show for the television, and how that developed into computers, which then led to a cell phone. All of that together led to the cell phone. And I had to study that. So that's how I know it. It's been many years of global studies and research that led to this. Now, some people say, well, how did we still develop the World Wide Web? Well, the World Wide Web was developed because somebody said, look, computers are going to be a great tool, a great source of income. It's limitless possibility and potential. But it's like You have to get a whole bunch of people into it, because having a great product doesn't mean much of anything. It's like somebody having to be broke, poor, and then after a while come into a large amount of money where they're now rich, but their mentality is still poor. So they're not going to be able to have the wherewithal just out of the blue, just because they got this limitless amount of money now. It's a development. So the development of the internet was when they had things like Ask Jeeves. That was popular due to its unique question and answer format on characters. Oh, was, this, you can look this up because all of this is like on the internet, so you can see it. And they were placed in fourth place next to Lycos, which was in '94. But G's was in '96. But Lycos was number three um, when in '94 crashed to 2000s, because .com, but it gets its results from Yahoo, which is in turn relying on Bing. And then you have at number two, you have Alta Vista, which was one of the most popular search engines of the '90s. But somewhere around about 1995, Yahoo was still the search engine. And about 94, 95, Yahoo was the number one. But now it relies on Bing, which is, really bringing it down. But Yahoo was like the granddaddy of, search engines for the internet, which made it far more easier for people who didn't know how to use a computer to get on and find it entertaining to be on the internet, which then made everybody more like trend the idea of being on the internet. I remember when Eddie was deployed a lot, and we were living out of the state from our families so far apart. And I wanted our family members to feel like, they can talk to the kids whenever they want to without me intervening and without it being a problem. So I set up an account so that from Yahoo, where the family members can email the boys and the boys can email them back. And then Yahoo came up with this thing where you can video record, like chat, like a video messenger or FaceTime with Apple. You could video. And I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And I set it up and I show family members how to set it up on their end, because there was a connection that it was allowing that was never allotted before. And these were the same measures a lot of military families had set up once it was available to them, which then increased the population of people using that. Yeah, you're right, Jackie. Like AOL, they used to, yeah. And it's like I used to send CDs. Now, believe it or not, I used to like have this Handycam, Digicam recorder, and I would record the kids just sitting there in their playroom. And after the CD, filled up, I would send it off to Eddie on in a care package, along with a couple of other things that guys might like to have in their bunk when it comes to a woman. So I would send him little care packages, and that was the way that he was able to stay involved and see his kids grow up, and maybe not miss his wife so much. What'd you say, Jesse? The ego part. I mean, the condition comes from ego. The emo is short for emotion. Okay, I thought you misspelled it. I'm so sorry. Yes, emotion, because they are hurt. Yeah, emotions make me cry sometimes. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. That's the song. But yeah, emotions can drive people to do things that's outside their character. Facts are demonstrated, but it's subjective. Yeah, that's true, Eddie. I believe sharing facts because me and her. Yeah, and you know the truth again is subjective, because it may be your truth. It may be your momentary truth that may change as you mature and develop more. Um, I don't a more mature understanding. It has nothing to do with your intelligence. It may have a lot to do with your emotional development, your emotional maturity. So I don't want to say that it's relative to your education so much as it is that sometimes people learn in different ways, and sometimes it grows them in different ways, the different ways that they grow. And it's all based on your ability to encode information. Encode means to take in information, digest it fully, and use it at the appropriate times. And that's one thing someone said. It was like, I'm these times, these people, they're just so inappropriate. It's not anything else that really gets me. It's more the inappropriateness that really pushes me over the edge. I have to agree. Wise words from an older, wiser man, that's lived a very long time. So he was like 66, 67. Very wise words. Ken, if you're watching, good job. Perspective changes with age and maturity. Yes, Jackie. And that's coming from a wise woman right there, wise elder woman. And I appreciate your perspective and your input because, yes, that is facts. And that's why when on Jesse and Philanda's show, when they asked, what is something that I wish I could have from my ancestors that I don't have, that was taken away from me, I said time. Time, because as you get older, as you mature, as you have experiences and the different ways that you learn, you're you're learning something and you're passing that education down to the generations that's coming after you. And that's vital information for them to say, hey, I got it, I get it. Let me take it a little further. And we don't have that because we're often times put into these boxes, into these cubicles, and we're limited. Whereas the World Wide Web, the internet, we're learning outside of the box. We're learning globally, oftentimes globally, because now we have access to people around the world via social media. And that's one thing you have to be careful of, people putting sanctions on to keep you in a box and limit your understanding and development. So, and that's one thing that the World Wide Web did. The World Wide Web, or the internet, required users to search through long lists of sites to find what they needed. Google saw the various problems, such as that, as ways to improve instead of reasons to get rid of a totally good tool with limitless features and potential for creating wealth. That's the one thing that you won't be able to stop people from doing, finding ways to generate wealth. And because it's the internet, people have found numerous ways to develop and secure their own financial wealth that has nothing to do with the conditioned norms of, okay, well, I'm a pay into Social Security. Well, Social Security is going away. Okay, well, I'm gonna pay into this 401k. Well, 401k may be a farce as well. Well, I'm paying a Bitcoin. Everybody is thinking, ways of doing things. But a lot of times what we are seeing is people are generating wealth via using the internet in such a way as no one ever thinks about before the person before them. Like, you have now all these multimillionaires who developed apps on a computer that is like, oh, well, that's convenient. Let me use that. Clicks on it, and the creator automatically populates a limited amount of wealth. It's just crazy. Another example of what makes the internet great and helpful for generating wealth and motivating positive contributors to global society is Tyler Perry. Now we're seeing how everybody's going on strike and everybody's talking more about AI taking over because people are on strike, and now AI is in the forefront and is shedding light. Just like people feel like, the things that were in the pipeline when COVID started, they feel like, well, COVID is the cause of it. No, these things were in the pipeline. And just because it wasn't trending, it didn't go viral, doesn't mean that it wasn't already able to be found on the internet. So the AI was already in development. A lot of people were talking about AI, and they were like, well, the only group of people that they can really get into it were people who were lonely and needed a companion. I'm going to put it that way. And the AI was put into androids And people were like, well, we got to get people more interested in this than just that one group of people, because that one group of people isn't enough. And a lot of times they're in the closet with what they like to do. So we cannot rely on them to get this thing populated to the point where it's as profitable as the prospectus is suggesting that it is. And that's why now with the strike, it has put the AI back in the forefront of multiple users having multiple sources of use for this one tool, the AI, generating artificial intelligence and maturing from the experience that it has. And as its intellect matures from the experience, so does its ability to entertain, to generate wealth, is the bottom line. But point being, Tyler Perry is not affected by the strike and AI war because all the things he's overcome to be effective. And we saw that because we saw him on social media putting it out there like it really is, because he was in a different type of entertainment that was like old school in Broadway, and people weren't really, giving him as much attention. But the church folks were, because he had some outstanding plays, but he built a bigger platform over time. And he had a whole lot of obstacles that got in the way. The very things that people did to hinder him and destroy his dreams were actually responsible for his success being unaffected by the strike, because he's been through so many time crunches, so many times when he had to make do, rush scenes with the main characters so the main character could go back to other job offers, so that it wasn't hindering their ability to generate wealth, just because he found awesome actors and actresses and child actors. They had to go and get another job. And he was like, I understand you're on your come up. Let me get you out here. Let's hit this and get it. And boom, one take, one day. Whereas in a traditional setting, it'll take months and weeks. And people are like, look, we don't have that kind of time. Let's get serious with it. And Tyler Perry just got it done. And that was the format that he has had to live through. And so many tiny budgets that he had to, get everything done and put it out there. And it was maybe not the quality that it would be if it was a multi-million-dollar budget, but it still had all the other aspects that made it great and made him able to build that entire studio where he is now benefiting from it. And a lot of other people are like, struggling like he struggled before he got that studio. Now, there were so many hinders, some obstacles, that he likely has an answer for every problem known to his industry, because that's what happens when you have time and you have these obstacles, and those things matured him. Those obstacles matured him every time he overcame them. Now, if Tyler Perry had stopped at no, stopped at being homeless, stopped because he didn't find a desirable lover, he could have stopped at not having a child to carry on his name or his namesake, or any number of things that plagued his life in his journey. He kept going, and it all worked to make him stronger. And for such a time as these, now look at his potential and what he's currently doing. The current struggles in his industry have made room for him to manifest his dreams with extra measure. That's what God do. I'm just gonna say, He only dares to make to take full advantage of this unprecedented opportunity. He's fully manifest generational wealth for himself and others. I'm not sure who's been watching the cycle of his industry and the networking economy over the years, but I have been watching, and I've been watching TV. And even if it's just background noise that just, sometimes happens to broadcast some things I didn't expect, but retained the information. So I wasn't really necessarily, jocking Tyler Perry like that. It was just some things that I would hear in the background as I'm researching, because I got the TV going, I got my music going, but I'm focused on my research and doing the things that I have to do, whether it's braiding my kids' hair, cutting my kids' hair, doing something for myself, the self-care. I just got all these things going in the background because it kind of blocks out all the noise in my head. It's because I never stop thinking. There's always something going on, and that helps keep my mentality balanced. So I know there's a lot of people out there that have that same thing. I know because I've talked to a lot of them, and that's why I can get along with those type of people, because it's like, yeah, and somebody would come into the room and be like, man, you got so many things going. How can you listen to the TV, listen to the radio, be on the computer, and be on the phone and hold a intellectual conversation and keep up with the conversation and work all at the same time? And I look at those people and say, how can you not? This is the only way to do it. I'm just saying, because, yeah, everybody's different. You never know. But everything happens for a reason. The hill in your path is the way it is because a time is coming. The strength from that is going to ensure your. You ever feel like, well, can't nothing be worse than what I've already been through? Well, I've come too far to turn around or start over. Well, I'm going to try it because what's the worst that could happen is I'll learn a new way of work around. Like if you're driving somewhere, you get lost. You're like, well, what's the worst that could happen? I'll drive and, find a new way to get from A to B, or, whatever. Some people have a positive perspective on things that go wrong. Some people don't. But you can have a workaround because I'm not giving up. You're going to get to your destination whether you get lost or not. You're going to get to your destination whether you are hindered from it or not, because no is just not the final word, and it can't be the final word for you. So you ever have like desperate faith in the sight of things and situations that appear hopeless, but there's no way that you will accept no as your final word? Then you know what I'm talking about. Let's get to these comments that keep popping up. What you say? I'm not a huge fan of Tyler Perry. Yes, of course, I know that. However, I have learned that sometimes you have to ignore folks within and without your sight. Yeah, it's not so much about liking somebody just to, you know, understand they struggle and to know it and use that information to examine yourself, because we should be examining ourselves on a regular, not comparing ourselves, but examining ourselves and saying, hey, you know what? I'm not the only one going through hell. I saw something that this dude was going through because he's in the limelight. And I feel better because at first I thought it was just me. At first I thought, I'm the only one in this world that's going through hell and everybody else around me is happy. Everybody else in the world is happy. Well, that's not true. And sometimes that could put you in a better mental state than thinking that you're by yourself in the hells that you go through in your life. And you could think that there's only one way out, and that's to stop living. And that's not true. The only way out is to finish strong. Okay. I use words scrambled to keep my mind. I know, right? So I guess that I try that. I try word search puzzles, but it's just not enough. I don't know. That's just me. Um, God lets you know when change is coming, and you have to, yeah, you always have to be prepared because change is inevitable. It's inevitable. I believe exactly what he did. I believe that's exactly. Yeah, it might be. But he definitely has a way of coming on social media and letting us know exactly what's on his mind and what he did in his path. You have to accept the word no to get your yes. Yeah, and sometimes when people say no, that's the catalyst of them saying, you know what? You said no. I'm going to go around you. You said no, and I heard why you said no. Because sometimes it is vital to understand why it's a no. Why it's a no, because these are things that help you develop improvements, enhancements, so that when you do come back for your yes, you'll get it because you understood why it was no. For example, you ever get into a relationship, you break up with that person, and you say, well, I don't know why we broke up. Why did we break up? It's not that important, but why did we break up? And then that why helps you to examine yourself, correct yourself, fix on yourself, and be a better person for the next relationship you get in. That's what the why is for. What you say, Jackie? I believe that's exactly what it means. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that. You have to accept the word. No. Oh, wait, we did that one. I'm sorry. If you expect it, it doesn't hurt as much. Yeah, that's true too. If you expect it. But you know what? And I see you said you agree with the last comment that I made. I'm trying to keep up with these comments. Sorry. So sometimes when they say accept no, it doesn't mean accept no and don't keep trying. It means accept no, accept why it's no. Why did they say no? And then that's what the acceptance is. It's not to say accept no and go sit down somewhere, don't get back up. Just saying. My issue that is my mind never rests, and I realize it because God has plans for me, my mind. And you know what? Sometimes, yeah, God do have a plan for us, but God ain't Chatty Cathy. And all the noises that we are going through in our mind is the voices of other people. Because God ain't Chatty Cathy. He said what he said. He said that's it. Now he ain't gonna say nothing else. You digest it over time because he gave you as much as you can, ingest at one time until the next time he speaks again. But it's all the voices that we fighting with, to include the voices of our own, from our id and ego, id and self, the me, myself, and I that's fighting me, myself, and I every time I go to sleep, every time there's silence in the room, every time it's not enough action going on around me. And that's why, another reason why the internet is really helpful, because it gives us opportunity to connect with people who are like us, who are similar to us, and people who have already been through these things, because there's nothing new under the sun. Somebody else is going through it and went through it as successfully. You just have to find the answer, because you are the individual who is still learning and building and growing. And that leads me to another example when you can't take no as a final answer. An example is when rent is due, but you don't have it, and you're about to be evicted. How about your baby is ill, but you at work, and you're told if you're going to go, stay gone. Or when you're forced to pick between your lover and your kids or your family. It's been many times where we have been told no, and we did not accept that as the answer, as the final word. I'm just using Tyler Perry as a reference because the time we're in, and where we can see how long he suffered and how his consistent faith, unrelented works despite everything, despite his flaws, etc., despite people not liking him, not feeling like, oh, whatever, he ain't nothing, whatever you felt about him. He's in the time he was born to dream of, and he dares to finish strong. Why can't you too? You can. And these are the examples that you have. That's just one local example from the United States. Hi, Pastor Sarin. Thank you for joining. You're going to like this next part. uh, I'm going to disagree with that statement. God ain't got to be chatty. If you're recognized a voice, God. Yep. And I've never seen any time in the Bible, nor since have I seen that God chatty Cathy. He says what he says, and that's the end of that. And sometimes what a chatty Cathy does is talk, 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 never stop talking. You can't even breathe. You can't think. You can't ingest what they've said. You refuse to shut up. That ain't God. God said what he said, like when he took on Mount Sinai, and he spoke. Now he said 10 commandments, and in between those he took breaths, clearly because Moses aged a lot, and it wasn't just from the stress of him being up there, but it's understood that because theologians would tell you that it took quite a length of time that for him to return from Mount Sinai, where the people thought he was dead. Okay, so here we go. Expecting disappointment does not mean accept it. It means you can better adjust should things not work out, and be more grateful when it does. Yep, good point. Now, Tyler Perry speaks about the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial states of lows and beyond low that he went through. He admits it was ugly. So yeah, you're sure to have ugliness in your journey when you're being made for the time for which you're going into, not just for the time you're in. I'm just saying, hold on to your mental health. It's tied to your peace of mind, and you can make it whatever you need it to be. Just keep watching. Now, let me see. Before I get into my female example. All right now. All right now, Miss Hayes. All right now. I'm gonna have to have you come on as my co-host. I need you in my corner, honey. But whenever you're ready, no rush. Do you? I understand. Okay, so anyway, an example using a female in the public eye. Thanks to the World Wide Web, it is Sarah Jakes Roberts, Bishop T.D. Jakes' daughter. There's some global examples too, but these people I'm mentioning today are purposely mentioned. Okay. T.D. Jakes went through hell. I watched Pastor Richard Daniel Hinton go through similar hell, but that was before the World Wide Web and social media being what it is, what it's become. Pastor Richard Daniel Hinton, he was a global leader. People knew him all over the globe, and they gave him hell for it too, just like Bishop T.D. Jakes. Um, but social. Okay, so let me see the comment. I agree that if God repeats himself, you better listen, as the shit ain't that rechatted. But if it choose to repeat itself, that's grace and mercy. Yeah, it is grace and mercy. And a lot of people take it for granted. They still think it's their voice or the devil. That's the devil, Bobby Boucher. Boucher. My bad. Okay, so anyway, um, I remember, before the World Wide Web became what it is today, TD Jakes was there already before and during. But people like the late Richard Daniel Hinton, my Uncle Fred Shuttlesworth, Mayor Harold Washington, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The list can go on to include like-minded individuals around the world. Point being, we see them going through the same hell we go through. And we're just ordinary people living day to day life, getting by. Now we can see the hell we're going through isn't defining us or denying us. It's what we're doing with our time despite our own hell. That's defining us, that's denying us, or permitting us and comforting us and motivating us. You see, I saw these leaders, and it was like before they became a leader, before they became in the public eye, and it was really difficult even back then because you didn't have the World Wide Web, you didn't have social media, but they still became influential marks in their time, that became global marks, where you can see, yeah, they went through some hell. Yeah, they were also human, and they had humanistic traits that are very similar to mine, and very similar if I compare the hell they went through to the hell I'm going through. Man, I wasn't doing nothing near like what they did and accomplished, and the mark they left on life, and and the matter of how they were such a impactful contributor to society. But man, I'm so going through hell like I am, like I am supposed to be out here doing this. What am I doing with my time? There, yeah, you have the list can go on. Um, But you know what? It'd be good because Eddie does a history show, and he can talk more about these historical figures in this respect, so you can make the connection even clearer. But I'm just gonna, mention those because I only have a few more minutes left. We have past examples and modern day examples like Tyler Perry and Sarah Jakes Roberts. Now that women's role, it's a trip though. So like I said, I got about 10 minutes left. So I can't really get too deep in that role. But when I do, baby, be tuned in, ring that bell, so that when you subscribe and ring that bell, you're going to get notified when I come on and I say it, I'm putting it down on the line. And if you ain't ready, you're going to have to watch that a couple of times in order to digest what's going on. We're going to get there. I'm going to get you there. And I'm not gonna hurt nobody's feelings and step on no toes on my way up there to tell you. I'm gonna tell you like it is though. So be ready. Society has a tendency to be, yeah, it is dehumanizing a lot of times. Those and we have to understand that it's not just those who are in the spotlight who is dehumanizing. It's anybody that dares to be out of the box, to dream big, to believe in miracles. And there's a part I know you're familiar with, Pastor Sartin, in the Bible where it says, you can't wait, Jackie. I know, right? Stay tuned. I might need you with me when I do it, though. I might need you. Let me know if you're ready. But there's a part in the Bible that says, um, um, I lost my thought playing with playing around. Um, it'll come back to me though. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I lost my thought. But anyway, going back to this because I only have a few minutes and I get kind of bunched up when it's time for me to hurry up. But let me know when you're ready for us to be on the show. I'm ready. I'm ready, Pastor Sartin. Okay, so and you too, Mike. I didn't forget. Mike and Phil, I didn't forget. I'm sorry I didn't say anything before, but since you're watching and I know you are, you just haven't said anything in the comments. You just on the couch, right? You're on the couch. I understand. Let me know. Let me know. I had a lot of stuff going on in the background. And I asked to okay, since we have just a little bit more time, I'll elaborate a little bit on what I mean. Um, but I may need to do a part two to finish because I'm almost out of time for this episode. Okay, God isn't chatty Cathy. He says what he said, and you do what you do with it because he also fills the gaps in your mind and your heart. I'm not God. So if you're misinterpreting me, pray God fills the gaps. I'm just saying I'm human and I can only speak in general when speaking to so many people all at once. So I'm going to tell you about Sarah Jakes Roberts because she, I watched, I had not been watching, I had to catch up, admittedly. So she has a testimony that's a lot like the young ladies I grew up with in church. Like I said, my life has been school and church, school and education, and business was like something that was done on the side. So I do possess a degree in business management, that is. So when I saw Sarah Jakes put out there that she was 13 and pregnant, and I was hearing some things about it when I was watching her father. I wouldn't watch consistently, it was off and on. Um, and I saw the hell that he was going through about having to be a bishop of a church, and his young unwed 13-year-old daughter is out there pregnant and everything. And she said in one of the episodes that I saw, she was like, well, I was 13 years old and I figured, well, when I graduated high school and that was such an accomplishment and there was nothing more I could do to go down, it was only up from here. And then she went viral most recently for having her wig to come off during the time when she on the pulpit in the limelight and preaching, and she snatches it off. Then other people start snatching off their wig, and since then there's been some supporters of hers that's gone on to their talk shows and snatched off their wig. Now I don't wear a wig, but I always wanted one. And Eddie was like, you ain't wearing no wig. So I didn't get a chance to wear one, but I did try it. I tried it. But anyway, I ended up giving that wig to somebody that I love and I wanted them to have it. So anyway, I just went back to my ponytails and a bang, ponytails and a bang. Then you put that ponytail up, put the hair, pin it up, and put a bang on. And I just put these hair wraps on to give it a little bit of, pizzazz, something different to look at other than a ponytail and a bang. But anyway, Sarah, I'm sure she felt, what you say, Pastor Sartin? You're not taking yours off either. Hey, I'm just saying, I don't mind because I never understood why people were wearing them in the first place. But I understood that was, their what they wanted to do or whatever. And it was a trend. It was something cool to do, but it was expensive, just like going to a beautician and paying like $1,000 for a hairdo. And, everybody has their thing about their self-care, and that's their thing. And it's like when that happened to her and her wig came off, she was like, I know this is going to go viral. I know people going to talk about it. Baby girl, they was going to talk about you regardless of anything you did after the fact that you was born from your father and your mother, period. So I'm saying using Sarah Jakes Roberts and Tyler Perry, and there's many others around the globe, but I have to first tell you who they are and remind you before I can set them as an example. But I'm out of time, so I can't do that today. But there's many examples out here, especially young ladies who have to wear hijab or cover their hair. There's many examples out here where ordinary people are going to get attacked anyway. Ordinary people are going to, encounter the same hell you were encountering, but they don't have your platform. They don't have your platform. So go through the hell. And if you decide that you're going to just wear your natural hair, consider one of these hair wraps. Amazon, baby, Amazon. I'm not sponsored. I'm just saying that's where I found mine. And I know it came from a different part of the world that's not the US. And I don't care. And I'm learning from these different cultures. I'm learning all these different things. I'm learning why they're doing the different things that they're doing. And with you having the platform that you have, it's like, yeah, I know, right? Wait, let me see. Yeah, I know. Amazon better sponsor me. They do better do something. They got everything. And I'm always saying, look, I got this from Amazon. I didn't get this outfit today from Amazon. I got it from that other place I talked about on my last show. And it's like, man, it's like these outfits, you have to stop shopping from them. But anyway, so I was like, you in this show, I'm trying to help everybody to understand it's not about the hell you going through. It's about what you doing with your time. Just like I tell you about companies and organizations that have troubleshooting to do when something goes wrong with the company, or something goes wrong with their products that you ordering and you're expecting to get, or they're manufacturing and it's malfunction. It's not about the product. It's about what are you doing when it goes wrong? How are you living your life in light of the hell you're going through? Now, it doesn't matter if you're on a platform or not. You're going to go through that hell anyway. So you might as well continue on your platform, do what it do, and take the opportunity to go natural. It's a big market out there, and a large audience of people who are going natural and sticking with it. And, they don't have the kind of platform you do, but if you were I know in Africa, it'll hit big. I know it'll hit big. So, you know, don't let stuff like that get to you. Don't let multiple marriages and multiple divorces and multiple mistakes that you make that make you human define who you are. Because this world as a woman is so much different than what it is for a man, that it's a whole lot more. And from what I understand, there's more women out here than men. It's a whole lot more of people that can relate to what you're going through than the people in your circle that's hating on you, or the people in your social medias that's hating on you. It's a whole lot of people out here that's like, man, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. And then they see somebody like you doing it, you know. It's about how you come out of it. Troubleshoot your life. Yes. Thank you, Jackie. Stop saying stuff if you're not coming. If you're not coming to help me, stop. No, I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you. I love your comments. You keep it real. You keep it real, sis. I appreciate you. And it's like people like Jackie. Now, the reason why I love Jackie, she she has experience in this life that was like, wow, that was so, that really edified many people that don't have a voice to say exactly what she said, and they can't get into the atmospheres where they have been conditioned to believe their help is coming from. It's vital for them to understand that your help isn't predicated on your location. It's not based on whether you're in church or not, whether you in school or not, whether you're in the right organization or a sisterhood or a sorority or fraternity. It is about something bigger than that. And it's great that social media hasn't been sanctioned to the point where we can't all access that right here where we are, right there where you are, and wherever you may be mentally. That's not your physical location, and it's not the visual on your face, the smile, the frown. It's not that. It's something else. It's your heart. It's in your heart. And we're all reaching one another and connecting through the heart like never before. And it's all because we're looking at social media. We listening to these different types of social medias. Hate doesn't bother me. They hated Jesus. I'm a good company. And it's not about that. I got this thing. I ain't got but a minute. I ain't even got a minute. But I know that's not proper English. But I can tell you some stuff about Jesus. Jesus was unorthodox. And I'm tired of people telling me, man, that's unorthodox. I never thought of that before. Just because you never thought of it before, that's the reason why it's unorthodox. Because you didn't think about it before me. Before I came in with it from a different perspective, and no was not my final answer, and it's not going to be my final answer. I just keep finding a workaround. That's that. Because it's not no. You must know where your help comes from. Yes. And that does make it a whole lot easier because you human just like I am. Your no is not my answer. If you would rather have trouble with God instead of, yeah. And that's really what it comes down to. Your faith. It's like we all know there's a bigger creator other than ourselves, other than our parents. We know that. And when we come to understand that, we know who to go to. Well, they said no. What do I do now? And God will quicken your mind. He'll word your mouth in the moment that you have to, even if you get to the location and you got to speak and you can't speak because you ain't ready. No matter what you did, you had writer's block. You didn't know what you was going to say. You nervous. And then suddenly, because you allowed yourself to be humbled and asked, your mouth will be worded, your behavior be guided, and you'll find that you were able to do something because you allowed yourself to be used in that way that you would have never been able to fathom on your own anyway. What you say? The girl first watch the boys. Oh yes, do watch on Wednesdays. The boys do come on Wednesdays. They clown, they laugh, they say some really informative things, and educate for their age group, their generation. And it's fun to watch because they're always laughing about something. They always goofing around about something. And you need that in these times. You need some laughter in your life that's like relative to the current events, tied in with the current events, but a little bit of levity to it. So that's all the time I have for today. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, like, and if you're really feeling me, give me a little heart or two. And make sure you ring the bell for notifications because when I get the time, I'm going to just come on and share little helpful tips and tidbits like I did once before. So make sure you ring that bell so you don't miss it. I also ask that you support all the shows on the, yes, I mentioned Eddie and the boys. And of course, this is my show. So I say ring the bell so you will see me coming. So I think that is all the programs. What did Eddie say? Yes, join us. Yes. And Jackie, thank you. Thank you. Great show. Y'all make it great. Y'all make it great. I'm just here. I'm doing shows based on requests as well as things talking on topics that I feel led to talk about. And if I see somebody in need, like people that I don't normally say, like people in the limelight that may have just gotten a divorce and they hurting, I'll say something in the inbox and then they watch the show. Or today I named names because people, those two people are trending in social media, and we all need to understand that stop slighting those people, get off their back, and don't think that the hate that you send in their way is hindering them more than it's building them. And it's great that you being a negative contribution to their positive building, but how much greater would it be if you were a positive contributor to their positive building? Remember, mental health is physical wealth. See.